Hey guys, this is Caleb Plank, and I'm here with Ricardo Liborio.
Hey guys.
Needs no introduction, but we're going to introduce a little bit, because a lot of people call you the father of MMA, coming through jiu-jitsu from Brazil to America.
Too much responsibility. I'm father of MMA. Grandfather or something there.
Maybe. Quick though, so when you came out of Brazil, you did a lot of martial arts before BJJ and MMA. So what were some of those that you kind of got started with?
Well, I started 4 years old in judo. From there, transitioned to taekwondo. Actually, it was my first encounter with traditional martial arts. Even before jiu-jitsu. From there, before jiu-jitsu, I did boxing.
Oh, nice.
From taekwondo to boxing, and then jiu-jitsu, and then Muay Thai and wrestling and so far, so on.
So when we talked the other day, you said that jiu-jitsu is kind of like your grounding art. That's kind of what your base has become. Why was it jiu-jitsu versus some of the other arts?
It was a glove. It fit perfectly for everything. I loved so much the environment, the philosophy. I think it was mentioned this to you. All my friends are actually from jiu-jitsu. My family and everything else. The whole family is involved with jiu-jitsu some way, somehow. But the friends, I went to college, I went to, with the school, and I work in a bank for a long period of time, and I rarely getting in contact with those people,
Right.
But in jiu-jitsu, it's my world. It was so perfect.
Something almost a little bit deeper than just, hey, how are you?
When I started doing jiu-jitsu, it was like love at first sight, and I really felt that I could be really good at this. I really could be great at this. I have such a passion, and I was in the right place at the right time, and I think I could identify that too. I could see that. It was way before as it is today. Jiu-jitsu at the time was a bubble in Rio de Janeiro. With really few guys doing it, and I was feeling very fortunate at the time to be part of that bubble and that sphere. And that.
That's really what it is. That launched so much international as far as just, especially the MMA. Like when the Vale Tudo transitioned to the MMA and became mainstream, that was just a cultural
But you've got to understand that. The Vale Tudo transitioned to no holds bar and then MMA. That's another thing too. The people are thinking about, there was Vale Tudo before that. Before even it was not even, it was a clash. And they formed a little bit of the Vale Tudo and a couple events popped up, in Japan, and there was a clash of styles before that. People do the challenge, what they call confetes in Portuguese. Confetti was when you match up interests on. I think capoeira is better than jiu-jitsu. I think karate is better. There was compare that this is really what it is. So there was the confetis, and from there the Vale Tudos, and from there the no holds bar, and evolved to the MMA as it is today.
So real quick before we get into kind of your perspective on the training and everything so a banker. So I can remember I used to be a corporate guy too, and I had a real job and I made real money. And I can remember that there was a moment when I was like, I cannot do this anymore. Yeah. So what was your moment when you were just like, I can't do this anymore?
I was raised to work in a bank. My father was in a bank, and I was, I was working this industry since I was 12 years old. I started at 12 years old. It was allowed in Brazil to start with 13. I was, we called the office boy, serving coffee and getting copies in Xerox, working the Xerox machine.
The intern.
The intern, that's it. And when you turn 18, 17 and something, you do a test to see if you can be hired by the company. And this is a test that everybody wanted to. This was extremely difficult and important because I was just studying to pass what they call the vestibular, and you do this test, and it was 36,000 people in the whole Brazil, and I think it was 800, spots. And I was able to get it. It was amazing, but it was very difficult. It was very stressful at the time. And it's something that my father wanted me to do it so bad because I thought that this is the way to go. And I from there went to school for business and lived the life of working in the bank industry. Yeah. And I ended up being a manager, and that's when I realized that I can't do this. This is nothing. I would never be great at this. I would never be amazing at this. And I had a chance to be great at jiu-jitsu. I have a chance to do something special. And I love that.
But you knew there was no future monetarily as far as like, because at that time, monetarily, there wasn't a future.
This was extremely stressful to my family because, you know, that was almost like a lack of a common sense getting out of a job that was, especially in Brazil, so secure. Because I worked for the bank from the government. It's a governmental bank, which is even hard to get in. It was like a lifetime job.
Right.
Which everybody wanted to get in. But I really was so different than those guys, you know, people there. And I have good friends up there, but the industry is so different. I'm so used to raise inside a gym that anything that you have it, you know, you sort it out, talking to the person, or getting a good training, or fighting after that, everything will be solved. And suddenly you got all those guys talking with the jargons and with the the corporate world where you understand it. Yeah. But it was too facey for me. I couldn't do this.
Right.
I couldn't get involved. You weren't
living your passion, like what you were destined to do.
Right.
You were not.
Correct.
So on your perspective.
So let me just tell you this. This is what's important. And at one point there, I was working. I tried to figure it out. A project that was going to be pulled out. I won the World Championships. This was a big deal. I was working in a company, still working on the Bank of Brazil, but doing a project from there. They called me back. There was a huge transformation inside, and it was extremely stressful because they go, "Hey, you got to come back now. You know, you can't be outside training and visit the schools and doing this and that. You got to come back." And when of that, I realized, man, I got to do something about this. So you have to move. So it was that, you know, Jesus meaning they really have to make the cross. You got to do what you have to do. And a friend of mine said that, why do you think you're not going to be successful outside a bank? Because you're successful with your family, you're successful with your relationships, you're successful with your friendships, you're successful even in a bank that you don't like it. You were able to get a management position. You're successful in the sport. Why you think you're not going to be successful outside? Billions and billions of people live without this job. Why you think you're not going to be successful? And that was my epiphany. That was like, I got to pursue this. I got to do that. And from there, I was able to save money, get out of the bank. We opened Brazilian top team, working with Carlson, and working Brazilian top team. We opened up American top team, and now, you know, in the new projects. But
for sure. So whenever you had that moment, that epiphany, it sounds like you had a support structure, but if you were going to try to advise or influence somebody that's feeling that same thing, like how do they take that action in their life? Like how do they know what they have to do, like finding that purpose? Because I feel like that's almost our industry even more, is helping people find that purpose and figure out how they can achieve what they truly want to in life. So if you had to leave something for somebody,
I will leave it this way. The know first, which is much easier. Know what you don't want it. Right. That was much easier for me when I figured out what I don't want it, and I really don't want it to work there. I really don't want that future for me. There was a lot of circumstances that would play in my favor. I had no kids. I was not married at the time. I was 27 years old guy, and I say, you know what, this is not for me. I really know there's not. I'm going to work with the sport and sport jiu-jitsu, and it's still till today. What I say is, make sure that you do your homework, and when you put a passion into it, and you get a good mentorship, get good people around you, get good leaders, you can't go wrong. Right. Put your time into it. You got to really have common sense. If you don't have common sense, a mentor will help you, guide you to the common sense. Right. But it's punch the clock, go over overcome everything. Yeah. Because that's the reality.
I feel like that's what happens on the mats with jiu-jitsu is every class, every training session, you're overcoming fears, concerns, obstacles, and you're growing from it, which in today's world, I feel that a lot of that's not happening. No. You know, where people don't get that opportunity as much. So, you know, I feel like that culture is embracing it.
I don't want to blame social media for it. It's not really reality, but in a world that everything should be and looks so perfect. The perfect moment, the perfect face, the
filter makeup. Life. That's what they call it. Yeah.
This filter life. You feel like you have to plunge yourself into that, which is not reality.
Right.
You know, overcome, accept things, and just punch the clock. I keep saying, but it's reality. It's bad. You don't feel good. Well, research, but just know one thing. You're going to get up and you're going to move on.
Right.
You're going to move on. You're going to come back the next day. Just don't quit easy. You know?
Which I think transitions into like, so today, working with the fighters, guys doing MMA, you've trained athletes at the highest level across the world. So when guys are wanting to, we talked about something that I thought was interesting, because I saw this on Facebook literally that night. Athlete versus a fighter. And I thought that you had a really interesting take on that, and I agree with it completely, because they're two different things. So what would you say labels a fighter and what creates the transition to an athlete?
You can have all the fire in the world, and this is a little bit of a problem in the MMA. You know, there's a lot of guys that come from a very hurtful background. People that got abused, people that don't see any other solutions. I'm not saying that the majority, but there's a lot of people that they are natural fighters. Right. And they fight for basically everything. They fight to eat, they fight to survive, they fight for whatever it is. And they take this into the cage. But being an athlete is completely different. You can get the fire and the cojones to go for a fight, but to have the system, to have the mentality of a champion, of an athlete, it is the breaking stone, daily basis, punch the clock type of mentality that put you to success. Success is not just your talent. Success is definitely your will to overcome anything else. When nobody believes it, that's not even you sometimes. Yeah. Many times you wake up that you know the moment that you in the morning they wake up and say, my gosh, maybe it's gonna work. And and you wake up and you make your bag and you brush your teeth and you take your shower and you get your coffee and you were a different person already. Yeah. You know, oh my gosh, I should not listen to that guy in the morning.
Yeah, on the inside.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And you just do it. You just do it. You just keep coming. And you see what's going to happen. There's no way that in one moment the sun is going to shine. There's no way. So the fighter is the guy that goes there and perform and do a couple of things there, but they don't prepare themselves for it.
Right.
The athlete itself, or even that person that's going to be successful.
So if they're going to transition into that role, if you give them one thing that they need to focus on, what would it be?
Resilience and acceptance. Accept a couple of things in your life that maybe you can't change, but punch the clock every day. Just put your blinds and go.
One direction.
You know, and go. Don't start to listen to everyone. Don't start to listen to that guy in the morning. Just listen to your goal. Yeah. Right down in the mirror. Go there when you wake up and you go there and you have to go brush your teeth. If you do that, you know, you're going to see it. Oh, okay, forget about this. Let's do it. Let's do it. And you go, and you go, and you go, and in one moment it's going to get better.
Consistency.
That's it. Yeah. And resilience. And discipline. That's what it is.
So I think that ties into the team idea. So you are world-renowned, you're a team builder. That's what you do. Like you bring people together, which I know because I've been a fan way longer than you even know who I was in existence, but I've been a fan. I can remember back on the ADCC Combat website, back in like the 90s, you know, because that was our only connection to anything. Which, first World Championships, who won that one? I think it was this guy, right? So a lot of people, I think they forget sometimes, you know, like you won the first World Championship and you just set such a high standard for yourself and the people around you. And I've noticed over the years, you've always elevated the people around you. So if you were going to take this conversation to people trying to build their team, people that are trying to be a part of the team, what insight would you have for them that makes it work?
Care and share. That's it.
I like that.
Care and share. That's it. That's what it is. It's not everybody who can't care or share right now because they got to take care of themselves first.
Yeah. Take
care of yourself first.
So, you know, fill from a full cup, as they say.
Make sure that you are on the right track, and after that, you care for people and you share. And it's just impossible. Good people, like-minded people being around you. That's what it is. Right. You know.
And I think that grows into some of the other activities you've gotten involved with. Right. So you've been doing a lot of philanthropy work and stuff. So I'd like to hear about what kind of impact you're trying to make on the world with that. Because, you know, it's training fighters, good martial arts, good teams, but it's bigger than that because we help people. That's what we do. Yeah. So what is your vision now as far as, you know, with your philanthropy work and reaching out? Or the
philanthropy, that philanthropy work is really related to vision impaired, which is dear to my heart because my daughter is vision impaired.
Right.
And I see the kids there, and I see a lot of kids that don't have 1% of a support system that my daughter has. Right. And this is really starting out as a way to bring those kids together because they don't even have social life.
Right.
You know, but people don't know that 75% of the vision impaired in the United States are unemployed. And after school, there's nothing else for them because it's hard to get a job, and really for them to transition there, this is kind of a way to let's stick together because we care about you guys too. You know,
it's like
that's something that we.
It's kind of like what's the future of somebody, you know, beyond that education? Like, what's their future going to look like? And that's what you're trying to.
Yeah, we're building up with collaboration with some really good partners, which would be UCF and the Federation for the Blind, and the parents of the blind children of Florida. Yeah. We have so much support from those guys, you know, to try to build up a program to teach vision impaired and a program to certify instructors to teach vision impaired throughout at least the United States.
Right.
You know, even in the world, who knows? Yeah. But we started here. You know, we started with our vision impaired kids that I know so dearly because they're all friends of my daughter and their parents that need so much support, you know, and caring, you know, just so hard. For me, it was when we find out when my daughter was going to be vision impaired, I looked into an agency, it was the Lighthouse, and I got the first encounter with the steps of what to be, you know, and now my daughter is almost like a pre-teenager, and I have to help a lot of the parents. Yeah. Because blindness doesn't come in a certain age. Yeah. You know, you can get a 16-year-old kid that suddenly turns blind and doesn't know what to do. We want us to beat the lie too, help those people that pass through the same moment. I think we can. There's so much going on. There's a lot of work going on, you know.
Well, I mean, you've never been a small scale person, so if this follows any trend of your life, like it's going to be big, you're going to draw people to you. You know, I know it'll magnify, you know, and that's really why I wanted to kind of have this conversation because it's just like,
hey, you can be part of this.
Hey,
that's you and your wife and your guys too. You're always.
I'll be glad to. Because
you will.
Doing stuff that matters is kind of what our missions.
That's exactly what I can say. I can see in you. I can see in them. It's got to be something that matters.
Exactly.
And that's it. Yeah. And it's just not. I can drive just for the money. Yeah. You know, that's hard. I'm not saying that I'm San Fran, you know, I'm not going to be, no, money is important for us. Money is important for education of my kids and the support system.
It's the reality of life.
Yeah, and we're helping people to understand that too. Yeah. You know, that there's a future there. It has to be a future after fighting and not for you to support your kids. You have to have systems. So we are all coming through a lot of work on this. But you can't be the main driving tool. Can't be the goal. The vision can be that. The vision has to be through passion, through love, to caring, to sharing, and that's it. You know.
So I got to tell you about my moment, because since you just said that is why it's key. So when I was in the business world, my sister made this friend of this very successful guy, very wealthy, and she convinced him to send me a fax, and we still had fax in that day. So he sent a fax, and on this fax it came out and said, "Attention, Caleb, chase your passion. Money's just a byproduct." And that was my moment when I was like,
"That's epiphany!"
I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And that's led my life ever since then. It's like, it's not about the financial drivers. It's a reality. You know, it's like gravity. You have to address it. Just like when you're wearing a gi and they're choking you, you know, like you have to address the choke. Yeah. But there's a bigger picture that you're trying to accomplish of this positional dominant, you know, of growth and things like that. So I think that's a major piece that exactly what you're talking about is doing stuff that matters. And
sometimes it's just a matter of helping people on, there's people that fall, man. Yeah. And just what they need is a hand to back up.
Yeah, just a little bit of assistance.
And they start running again.
And a lot of times it's a gym that brings them around. Go to a jiu-jitsu class.
We want to bring a different perspective on people and life. And even for MMA, we want to bring a different perspective that you don't need to be that trash talker guy or, you know, directly.
Bring integrity back to the martial arts.
Yes, exactly. Bring martial arts back to MMA. Yeah. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, I agree with that completely because, I mean, that's what I love about the martial arts is the integrity, you know, the relationships. Because like for me, like I've seen MMA shows where you got guys where they're not getting along. The next weekend they're at a grappling tournament and they have a completely different attitude towards each other. You know, it's more respectful, more disciplined. I mean, they're still not getting along great, but but it brings the best out of people. And I feel like that's our job as industry leaders, school owners, participants. Find a way to bring the best out of people, which is something that's what I've always admired of you, is because I never have seen you not try to make the best out of a situation or bring the best out of somebody. I mean, it's just, and that's truly like that. I feel like that's the gift of life, you know, and it's trying to take that information and mentorship.
But believe me, I had my moments. I have my spike in my doubts or everything, but I just don't quit.
Face the fear.
That's it. You know, and I have my dislikes, and everybody who takes a position for something, you're gonna be disliked. Any leader is going to be disliked. That's it.
If you're doing anything on a level of success, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's finding ways to cope with that and know in your heart you're doing what's right.